Alright, welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day, a lovely night wherever you're from. And real quick before we get started, as always, I want to give a lovely shout out to the channel members on this channel. So thank you so much to these lovely commanders here that you see on screen. Thank you guys so much for your guys' constant generosity and your support to me as always. It really means a lot to me, so thank you guys so much. And if you guys are actually interested in becoming a lovely commander yourself, if you are interested in any of these cute and lovely emotes, the loyalty crown badges, you want a special role in the Discord, make sure to join the Discord. But as always, if you choose to do so, thank you so much. Just remember, that's not the only way that you can support me. Just watching the content like you are right now is truly the best way. Liking, subscribing, and commenting, everything really does help, so thank you guys so much. And for today's video, it's time to talk about another gacha with another closed beta test. Been really busy trying to get done with all these gachas, especially with life right now. But this time it's a little bit different because I've been looking forward to this gacha for a while now. Been talking about it for a bit. This time we're going to be talking about Chaos Zero Nightmare, but it's going to be a little bit different because this time I was actually sponsored by Smilegate for this video. However, I just got into the closed beta test by luck. So the fact that I'm able to do this video, just big shout out, so thank you. But that being said, even though this is a sponsored video, I don't have to say anything I don't want to. This is going to be completely honest, and I'm going to be honest, I'm always going to be that way. I'm not going to get sponsored and have to say something I don't want to. So I'm just going to make that real clear and transparent up front for you guys, so you're aware. But let's talk about this because there are timestamps for wherever you want to go down below. But to get started, the first thing I want to talk about is actually talking about the story, because right now, for me, I actually managed to get to chapter 3, and there are, I believe, around 5 chapters. I just haven't had time, and honestly, I want to experience the full story when it comes out without feeling like I have to just kind of skip through it and forget about some stuff. So I want to replay it. So I got to chapter 3 and I feel like this is a good spot for me to stop at personally. But for what I did play throughout the story, I actually enjoyed it. It's a little bit basic, but I do love the characters and I love the voice acting. One thing that I want to give some criticism for is the localization translation. It's not that great, and I mean that pretty harshly because at times the wording does not make sense at all. And also sometimes the words just kind of go off screen. This happens more when it comes to the actual deck cards that I'll talk about later, but I just want to make that note. I feel like the structure of the story is a good starter to be interested, and I feel like for me that's enough, and I can't wait to see the future chapters. I heard they get better, but I just didn't want to get spoiled at all, but that's just my take. But there are 2 parts to this. There's the story and the battle missions. So the point of the battle missions is not necessarily farming, but it's to basically increase your ranking and also help you with your characters as well. So the point of this is also to progress through the story. Once you get, let's say, level 20, you complete some other requirements, and you complete this mission, you're able to progress through the story. Some people might like that, some people might not, because some people want to just play the story separately. That's going to be completely up to you whether you decide if you like that or not, and I completely understand both sides. Now, there is a hard mode, but I just didn't unlock that yet. I think that's TBD still, but that's fine. But right now, there is the farming. There's a lot of farming in this, okay? And I mean, like, when you click this, it might feel a little overwhelming because there's about like 6 types of farming that you can do, and I've only unlocked 4 of them. The other 2 I have not. And there are a lot of different ones because of the elements that you can farm. But I want to talk about the farming for a second. It's good and bad. Good in the aspect that this is one of the parts of the game where it's auto. You go in and you just go for it. However, one of the biggest problems that I have is that you can stack your stamina attempts, but there is no sweep after the first clear. And that's something that I do not understand. A lot of people have also complained about this, so hopefully in the future this gets changed, because I'm sorry, in 2025, with a farming aspect to a gacha, there should always be sweep, I'm sorry. Despite the basic farming though, there is something that I want to talk about that I actually do really enjoy, and that's the chaos manifestation. This is the actual game pretty much, because there is no auto. Now, you might hate that, you might like that. For me, I like that because I like to play my games. Now, Zero System is not unlocked. This is TBD, but Chaos Manifestation is the one that is available, and that's the one we're going to be talking about, because there are a bunch here. I've only unlocked 2, but I've played through them a few times, and I've enjoyed what I played. But these Chaos sizes talk about what you can expect throughout all of them. But what I want to talk about real quick is just a quick idea of the gameplay. So you can only select 3 characters, and you can see the recommended level, the little element as well, what you can see, and the first achievement rewards that you can get. Then you can click, choose your characters that you want to try to use, and then you can just go. Now, I'm not going to do a full gameplay or anything because this is going to take forever. Get an idea of the little sprites and stuff, and the art is very cute. I want to give them that. It looks great. And then you can choose like what you want to have like for your fate, quote unquote. Let's just say I want this legendary equipment in the next elite area. That's fine. But this is expansive because you get an idea of the map here, and this is everything you go through in a chaos manifestation run, and it could be longer because of how big the chaos ones get later. The red ones are the battle, the blues are random events, the oranges are red campfires that you can just rest at or train, get gear. The purple are the elite bosses, and there are also other campfires that you can go to with a shop icon right here, and then also get gear at these little diamond compasses symbols right here. And then you progress through all of that to get to the boss and finish your run. So this is where you actually play the game, and this is meaning manual. Once again, some people might hate that, some people might not like that. For me, I like that because I want to play my game. However, I just want to say this is a roguelike deck building game, so you use your cards, and that's something that I really want to talk about right here and give some criticism to. Because although there are some cards that kind of are, self-explanatory, there are some cards where not really. You want to know more info about them, you want to see like, okay, what's the Silver Veil thing? And you don't really get that full info yet. A lot of people have complained that they want to be able to just like hold the card and see some extra information. That's something that I've seen a lot of other deck building games do, and I feel like that's necessary here, especially with trying to translate the localization. I feel like this is a bit of a mess right now, but I know it's fixable, so hopefully we see that. But right now, to me, the aesthetic of the game with the little bit of the fan service, the deck building roguelike, I love farming and just kind of sitting here and just vibing. So I really like this. But also at the same time, you have a game like this that's also covered by a gacha. So it's kind of conflicting, right? So we'll talk about that. But for now, let me just exit this because I'm not going to be doing like a 20-minute run here. All right, this was just a show off for the video. But outside of all of this, we also get to the other parts of the game where are more idle. That's pretty much the most manual part of the game. And also some story missions also involve that, which I thought was nice. I just felt more involved with the story. But then there's the Ark CIty. Ark CIty is basically where your idle stuff happen. Now there are some places that you can go to. You see this is Main Street, and you see a couple icons of the characters I have. And then there's also, the Academy, the Administrative District, and then the Vacation Spot. Now you're seeing a lot of these research required things, and these are buildings that you can unlock through the research facility. Now this research facility is something that I made a mistake with. So going forward, you really want to use these blueprints that you get through the idle part of the game and just kind of progress through more so you can unlock more of Ark CIty through this rather than focusing on policies. And policies are done through the policy office. This is like one of the more idle parts of the game, I feel like. And basically you make policies for the city and then you get started with them, and then you can also buy some with the currency that you get. And that's what I've been doing, which I felt like was actually a mistake. So for instance, I just put up this proposal. So when we click it, we get an idea. This one increases public order by 6, but reduces administrative index by 2. The other one increases public order by 6, and increases happiness by 1. So we're going to go with that just because we don't want to see any negatives and just keep it going. But then this is also the idle part, so you kind of have to wait. And as you can see, there are 2 character icons here, and that's because you can actually use this as an opportunity to bond with your characters, basically like advice sessions, basically to increase their bond and affinity. However, there is something complicated about this, and that's this Epion Center that's in Ark CIty. There is trauma code, but that's TBD right now. I want to talk about the psychotherapy and the mental breakdown, the trauma. This place is where you go when your characters have a mental breakdown and you cannot use them properly. However, this uses those advice sessions that we just talked about. So if you want to talk to your characters that you really like and you want to go through their bond stuff, but you have to be careful with how many you talk to, because if you don't have any extra spots left to counsel anyone who's going through a mental breakdown, you might have to delete your memories if you really want to use them and lose that save data. So that sucks. I honestly think that there needs to be a rework with the mental trauma aspect, and I'll talk about that later in a future video because this is just more my honest impressions, but I feel like that gimmick is cool. There's also some fan service with that, but at the same time, it kind of causes unnecessary problems, and it's more annoying than anything. I feel like one aspect that would make this better is if the counseling of this was different than the bond ones. So hopefully that's something that I also put in my feedback that gets implemented. So we will see. And then the garden cafe is more chill. This is where you go. You can pet all sorts of cats, dude. Like, that's sick, dude. All right. I love that. There's so many cats you can pet here. You can pet all of them. I already ordered my caffeine for the day, but you go through a cute coffee animation. You get a good chunk of stamina back up, so if you want to do some farming or go through some runs, you can do that. That's perfectly fine. And there's Starshine Diner, which I think is actually cool. You can just see like really detailed food, and then they give you buffs when you go do your runs. As you can see, let's say 5% defense and 5% health for all combatants. And then let's say I want to eat this and I'm just going to go with it. And it looks great, dude. I love drawn food. It looks so good. Those skewers look sick. Just eating them. Looks good, dude. And then all of this just to get like a slight buff for when you do runs, as you can see right here. Applied upon entry into chaos 2 times. But this is pretty much all of Ark CIty done to talk about. Now, here's the juicy stuff. Let's talk about the characters, because as you can see, I already have one of the characters on screen, and they look great. This is Rin. Rin looks really good. I wish there was more that you can showcase with them, but she looks fantastic. Now, there's also the partners, partner cards, basically, but they look great. I really love these characters. Rin is one of my favorites, and I didn't even know she was even like a character until I started doing the pre-registration video and got to see the characters. But then Khalip became a favorite for me. I really love how Khalip looks, and she's like a badass, dude. She's also really strong, and I just want to say, these are some of the SSRs, but at the same time, I've been using a lot of 4 stars in my runs. The 4 stars in this game are surprisingly really good, and I think that's a big positive. I've been using 2 consistently with any run that I've been doing. I think that's a big plus, so I don't have to worry about the SSRs as much. But despite Khalip, I also have her partner card, which is Erica. She's pretty cute. This was actually my SSR partner card that I got. This is one of them when I was trying to pull on all of them just to see what they look like. Then I also got Lillian for Maylin. And Maylin is also really, really cute. I think she's adorable. She's also another SSR that I got. And of course, with my luck, we also got Kayron, which we got males. Yes, there are males in this game. I know that could be a hit or miss for some people. For me, I'm just going to enjoy it. I mean, it is what it is. I'm having a lot of fun with this game, but I just want to say, the 4-star designs in this game, guys, are kind of nutty. We got Amir, looking good. Good brownie mommy, alright? And you also get her for free from the pre-registration, so that's already solid. And she's really good, too. A lot of them have been great. My personal favorite is Maribel over here. 4-star, looking so good. That belly, peak, the booba, even more peak. It's so good, man. And she's a great character. I just want to say, she is really solid. Same for Mika. Been using these 2 consistently through my runs. Mika is really strong. For a 4-star, that's just amazing. So, massive shout out for that. Selena's also really good. I've been using her as well. Tressa has also been great, and I really love her design as well. Her mental breakdown's great too. And then we also have Lucas, and then another SSR, Luke, that I got as well. And this is actually a starter character, Owen. I just want to say, the characters are actually pretty cool. As much as I don't care for Owen's design as much, I love his voice acting, and I like his character that he's been developing throughout the first 3 chapters. So, really solid job with that, I just want to say. And we also have Ray. And then we also have Nia. Nia is actually kind of cool. It reminds me of almost something like Kaon or something like that. Looks kind of sick. Going back to Ray really quick, for some reason, I don't know why, it just gives me like Doki Doki vibes. I don't know if that's just me, but I actually kind of like her character just for that reason. There's also Beryl, which her shading looks really cool. Like, for some reason, I don't know if it's just me, but it almost reminds me of like the Destiny Child art style in the sense of that shading. I think it's just the shading in the hair. But I really like that. It felt more different than some of the other characters, but I really appreciate this like design right here. But it's time to talk about the gacha with all of these characters, because at the end of the day, this is a gacha game, okay? Like, this is a roguelike deck builder with gacha mechanics. I gotta be real clear about that, because we gotta talk about it. So, before we talk about the gacha, we need to talk about this manifest, because this is basically your ascension. I actually got another copy of her, so you can see how this works. So the way that the manifests are, basically when you get dupes, it's like Girls Frontline 2. When you get dupes, there are changes to the cards technically. And that's a big hit or miss, especially for me coming from Girls Frontline 2. I really don't know how to feel about that, but also 4 stars have the same thing. And especially for some strong characters, it's great. I think my biggest worry when it comes down to it, when we finally get an idea of all the characters, is that I really don't want it to be such a heavy reliance on dupes. Like how Girls Frontline 2, where a character would be pretty alright, but if you got their dupes, it would just be like a power creep. I really hope that this game doesn't go that route and they're very careful with it, especially with the whole deck building aspect. So we'll have to see. As for the actual gacha though, when we talk about it, this is where it's kind of rough. And when we're talking about the gacha, there's something that I want to talk about real quick. So just quick rant. The free currency that you can try to get through completing various achievements, the dailies, story missions, completing any side content, the crystals that you can earn is not enough, Smilegate. You can only get so much because I feel like I've played for a good bit and I've only gotten around 2.5 multis worth of crystals. And I feel like this is more accurate for me to tell you because even though we've been getting a lot of pulls, they've just been pull currency. It has not been the actual crystals. We've been getting the actual like tickets. So I can actually see how much we've been getting and it's not enough. I'm hoping that right now because of the CBT, there are some stuff that's closed off. Like, you know, like maybe like a monthly banner or something, like the daily banner that we get. We'll see. But for now, hopefully they increase the amount of currency you get because it's not enough for this gacha. Because once again, when we're talking about this gacha, the probability is going to be a 5-star at 70 pulls guaranteed, 1%. Now, for the default, there is no 50-50 because you just kind of get from the pool. But here's the thing. So when you get to your 57th pull, it starts going 4.5% up each time, starting from 58 to 69. And then the 70th is just your guarantee. That's fine because 1%, you know, it could be worse. There's other games that do it worse. But the limited is also where it's kind of iffy. Because when we're actually talking about the limited, it is a 50-50, unfortunately. There is a 50-50. If you lose that coin flip, it is guaranteed following that. Now, coming from some other games, this is standard. Some people might also be coming from a game like Nikke, you know, Brown Dust 2, Lost Sword, where there's a lot better rates, generosity, and all that. This is more akin to the more common popular gacha game. And for me, the problem doesn't lie with the actual, you know, rates or the percentage. It lies with the free-to-play income because that's where it matters the most. Because free-to-plays also matter to the gacha economy no matter what. So hopefully going forward, this is improved because it's kind of worrisome. I'm gonna be honest. And then we also have the partner rescue, which is also another 1%, 70 pulls. And this time you just kind of get from the pool. And I know there are limiteds, but we didn't get a limited banner here. And this eternal moment, which is like the cosmetic prism gacha, we actually don't get to use the crystals here. We only get this currency, and I've only gotten 11 of them, as you can see right here. And I only managed to get a 4-star. I can't really talk about it because I can't really experience it enough, but it is the same type of percentage here with the 1%. However, there is no 50-50 if there's a rate-up prism, if it's one of those. So that's at least cool, but also it's cosmetic, so I know some people don't really care. What are my thoughts overall after playing this full CBT? I think this game has a lot of potential, but it also has to be very careful. And there's also a lot of fixes that need to happen, especially with the localization, the actual like card gameplay text. I feel like could be improved a lot. And also the farming, the tedious stuff like that really bothers me. But what worries me the most is the free-to-play income. Because as greedy as a game can be, as long as there's a decent chance for people to get characters, there's always that copium. And maybe because of this closed beta test, it doesn't feel that way. But hopefully it improves going forward. But I'm still excited for this game just because it's what I want from a horror, like, roguelike game. The fact that I can farm something and play it is something that I'm really happy for. I know there are people that are going to be worried about this game and its future, and it obviously makes sense because people want to see any game that they're excited for succeed. I think that they have something good on their hands and they just have to be careful with it. I'm excited for when the game comes out because I think it comes out in about a month. And I'm going to be playing that for a good while. Obviously, this is probably going to be a part of my rotation after Girls Frontline 2. So I am really excited. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are, what your guys' worries are. If you actually got into the beta, what your thoughts were. I'm always interested to hear. But that is going to be it for me. I hope you guys have a lovely day, lovely night, wherever you're from. And as always, thank you so much for the constant support. Take care and have a good one. And once again, thank you Smilegate for this opportunity.